Craig, you've coached over 10,000 people at Team Bootcamp. You've run across the Sahara Desert, the Amazon jungle, even the Arctic Circle. You must be an incredibly motivated person.
Well, actually, like motivation and consistency is something that I've struggled with my whole life. Life can be like this river, always moving, always flowing, but sometimes we find ourselves stuck on the banks, watching life pass us by. I was there not too long ago. Life had become comfortable, too comfortable. I was caught in a rut and I didn't even notice the current slowing down around me. At first it didn't seem like a big deal. A missed workout here, an extra snack there, but those small choices built up like debris in a river clogging the floor. My health deteriorated and my weight increased. I felt stuck, unable to move forward. But just like this leaf, I realised I could break free. It took one small step to get back in the flow, to reclaim my health and my motivation.
Craig, motivation, consistency, where do we start?
Yeah, I mean, these are the two biggest things that anybody I've ever kind of coached or worked with kind of struggle with. And the interesting thing is, so first of all, when we talk about motivation, the first thing that I think we need to realise is that you're not faulty. It's not like you're missing something. Everybody's got every bit of motivation they need. But if you think about it, they're just motivated to do the wrong things. So for example, you and I decided we're going to be here early doors in this studio when really we just wanted to lie in bed and have a lie in, but for whatever reason we was motivated to do that. But then later on it might be that, okay, I should go to the gym. You know what I mean? I should eat healthy, and we don't. But you prove to yourself you've got motivation, otherwise we'd all just be sat on our asses like a bloody blob doing nothing. It just tends to be we're motivated to do the wrong things. So I think once you take that out of the equation, then it boils down to just, developing positive habits, working towards positive results and being consistent with that.
Yeah, but how do you train your mind? How do you mentally reset to be motivated about the right thing?
First of all, it helps to work out what the right thing is. I have a 3-step analogy, which is the ACT analogy, which I kind of coach people through and I talk people through. And the 3 steps are, the A is assess the reality, right? Now, what I mean by that is, quite often when we're not motivated to do something, either we're too comfortable and we're happy with that comfort. As human beings, we strive for comfort, but also the problems, the downsides aren't powerful enough. That's why we don't do things, because it's just not bad enough yet. Now, and some people have there's different tolerances. Like some people have a settling point in regard to their weight where, right, okay, there's no way I'm going above 90 kilos. Right. Other people might be like, well, I'm willing to go wherever. I go 300 kilos. I don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some people are like that, and there is this kind of personal bracket of where you need to be. Some people, like, weight just doesn't factor in their goals. They're just not interested in it. They don't think about it. They've got other priorities. So in Assess Your Reality, we need to look at like what is the reality? Have you got a blind spot in your health and fitness? Is there, are your priorities misaligned? And this is a spectrum for everybody. Like I've seen people, I've trained with people that are like, they'll train 2 or 3 hours a day. They miss a day. They kind of beat themselves up, feeling guilty, and, they just live for it. But on the same token, like, they can be some of the most selfish people in the world. Like they'll go and train at the detriment of everything else in their life, including their relationships and their, their jobs and all this kind of stuff. And other people are like, will do nothing because their job is too much and it's misaligned priorities. So by assessing reality, you can kind of look at what's happening right now. Every day I'm saying, right, okay, tomorrow I'm going to get to the gym, and then tomorrow comes and it's like, well, no, I still need to get this work done, or I still need to do this, or I like playing with the kids, or I just like having shit food. As an example of this, I I don't know if you've ever done like the love languages, you know what I mean, where you do the assessment on love languages. You're looking at me strange, Carl, so maybe not.
No,
so
I haven't.
a great book, Love Languages. So if you're in a relationship, or even if you're looking at getting in a relationship, you know, do this thing, and it exposes what your love language is. And we've all got different love languages. This is relevant to,
Right.
you know, so bear with us. My love language, how I like to receive and give love, is different to my wife Paula's love language. So hers is like, so there's 5 main love languages. Paula's is words of affirmation, right? So she wants to hear how beautiful she is, how much I love her, how she's done a great job that day. Do you know what I mean? She's created a beautiful environment at home and all that. She wants to hear it. My love language is quality time, right? So I want to go for a coffee. You know what I mean? I want to have breakfast with her on the decking in the sunshine. I want to go and sit next to the pool. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
So slightly different. However, you know, that's the way I like to receive the world. So I will go and have a coffee and breakfast with my wife on a beautiful day ahead of anything else. You know, so when you look at like, you know, what's going on, what are your priorities, you know, and you might be like, well, I should get healthy. But until it becomes a priority, you know, you won't. The other thing to bear in mind, so that's the present. You know, quite often there's this disconnect, this incongruence in you saying, you know, I should do this, I want to do this, blah, 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 but you're not. Life's just not set up for that. And remember, all our actions will give us our results. But there's also the future, like what's downstream, and that's why, you know, we did the little intro by the river, because it's a metaphor for, like, you know, always think about what's downstream. And there's a lot of people that are doing things right now, which the effect of that is relatively low key. Fast forward 3 years, and that's a different prospect. You know, so like future, like moving forward, if I carry on with these current habits and these current actions or lack of action, where am I going to be in 3 years? Sometimes that's quite sobering for people.
So would you say that's the first step for anybody to get motivated, is to look at the life where there may be, if they don't make these changes in the next couple of years?
Yeah, you've got to what I call agitate the pain, because fundamentally we do stuff to find pleasure or avoid pain. Now, if the pain is downstream, it's not very obvious right now. So, for example, type 2 diabetes takes about 20 years to develop. It's getting faster. You know, we're getting child onset diabetes now, you know, so it's getting faster because of the food that we tend to eat. But so 20 years. So what I'm doing right now, I don't feel the effects until 20 years time.
Yeah.
So the reason to stop it is not very obvious. So you've got to put yourself, you've got to, you know, human beings have got this amazing ability to use our imagination, like unlike most other animals. We can project ourselves into the future 3 years. What am I going to be like in 5 years? What am I going to be like in 10 years? You know, if I carry on this trajectory. By doing that, we can start agitating the pain and think, wow, I'm heading for some tough times. And health is a funny thing, because if you don't make time for it now on your terms, you're going to have to make time for it in the future on its terms. You know, and that's when you start getting people that long-term problems such as diabetes, autoimmune disease, colitis, arthritis. There's so many different things which a lot of it could be avoided right now through changing your lifestyle and your habits.
So if you've got somebody who maybe is comfortable in life right now, what would you say to them as their first steps to take? Yeah,
just really take an audit of like what's going on right now, and do that mental thing where you map it out on a piece of paper. Just sit down, no distractions, get rid of your phone, everything, and just do an audit of what you're doing right now. And remember that it's not what we do once or twice that counts, it's what we do consistently what counts. So look at what you're doing consistently and project that into the future and what's going to be the result of that.
Yeah.
Right. Also times that by the fact that you're going to age. Now, you know, recently I've moved on from 21 years old.
Have you?
And I can tell you that basically from about mid-20s onwards, we start to die. You know, that's a sobering thought in itself, but, you know, we start to die. Our muscles naturally start to waste away. We naturally start to leach minerals from our bones. Our organs slowly start to shut down. Our vision starts to. This is serious shit. Now, if we don't do something to work against that, maintain strength, maintain cardiovascular health and fitness, we're going to be in a box pretty soon. But the other thing as well is, if you look at our Western society, right, you think about this, Carl. Whenever someone starts getting like 50, 60, right, we start saying to them, no, you sit down, I'll get it for you. You need to rest your legs.
Yeah.
No, you need to get up and do it yourself, because if you don't start moving, if you don't have resistance, if you don't have shock going through your bones, you start getting weak, you start getting osteoporosis, because fundamentally, I mean, we call it a living room, don't we? Where you go and sit and watch TV, but that's not a living room, is it? That's a dining room.
Well, it is if you, no, yeah.
It's a dining room. You're not living in there. You're watching telly, you're sort of experiencing life through this telly box. You're dying, you're slowly dying. But it's all these things until you agitate the pain and think about it, or create an audit of your life and work out where the problems might be. You're not going to change it because you are comfortable. And there's a great quote that I always say, and that is, irritated oysters make pearls. Right? Human beings need challenge. We need to be doing more than we want to do, because if we don't, we start getting anxious, depressed. We start becoming insular. We need to be out doing stuff, whatever that form of challenge is for you. And it's got to be something that we do throughout our life.
What was your acronym again? ACT.
So the A is assess reality and agitate the pain. You know what I mean? You've got to build these things. I tell a story. Two tribes, right, at the bottom of this mountain. And up in this mountain, one tribe lives, and they're cannibals, right? And one day, they snuck down into the lower tribe's camp, and they kidnapped a baby, right? And they ran back up, climbed back up onto the mountains, right? And it was like, for the people that lived in the low ground, they really struggled to get up the cliffs and to get up the mountains, right? So they got all the, the warriors together and all this, right? Okay, let's go, and get this baby back. So they went and they tried getting up the mountain. They couldn't do it. They all different routes and all that kind of stuff. And then they just saw this lonely figure coming down the cliff, and they're like, gee, how are they scaling this cliff and how are they getting down? And they could see that this figure was carrying something. And as they got closer, they found out it was the mother of the child carrying the baby. And they were like, how the hell have you got up this cliff? We've been trying all day to get up this cliff. We've not been able to do it. You know what I mean? And she says, well, it's not your baby.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the point. Until we have a strong reason why, we're just not going to do the things. Now, that's pretty extreme. I don't, you shouldn't be doing a bloody, I've got to be careful here. Yeah, don't be getting your kids kidnapped in order to, but we do need to get some skin in the game. We do need to work out, and there's so many different assessments you can do. I've got a great one, which is a lifestyle, health and lifestyle assessment you can do. It takes about 20 minutes and it tells you, where the problems are in your body from parasites. Like 70% of us are carrying parasites around in our body.
Right.
What a thought that is, to toxicity, everything from like air fresheners in your room to heavy metals in the air, the crap that's in our food that builds up in our body. Bodies last much longer in a morgue now than they used to, because we've got so many preservatives in our body from food.
All right.
This is all, you know what I mean? And we're just cracking on and like, oh yeah, be fine. But we're not going to be fine. So we need to build that up, like water building up against a dam. You've got to kind of realise what's happening and therefore what's downstream.
So that's agitating the pain.
Yeah.
So C.
Create goals, because if we covered our eyes now when we set off walking, chances are we won't end up on Everest. However, if we set an intention to get up Everest, the chances of getting there are much greater. And there's so many people that are walking now without goals. Even people that go to the gym regularly, but they've no real goal to it, no real aim to it. So we've got to have something to aim for, and the goals need to be strong enough that they pull you through life.
Yeah.
They pull you through life. Now, what I mean by that is, and I usually do, in fact, I can do it with this little cable. So quite often what people do, so imagine this cable, I don't think you can pick it up on the camera, represents sort of us trying to work on just like willpower and, not really having any goals. And what we'll do, this cable's a bit strange because it's actually quite rigid. So imagine we're pushing our way through life, but what naturally happens is the cable kind of tends to curl back round and we end up with the same old habits.
Yeah.
And then we get frustrated or fall off the wagon or whatever. But and then we sort of sit out and go, right, okay, with willpower alone and without any big, strong, audacious goals, we'll try again to push this cable up towards the roof, and it just that's where we get in the cycle. However, if you've got a strong goal and that pulls you through life, see, it's much different. Like it's not. Now these strong goals, there's so many ways that you can get these goals. Like one way, which I don't recommend for anybody, is we've all heard these stories of people going to the doctors and doctors saying, right, if you don't stop eating sugar or smoking, we're going to take your legs off. And they're like, shit. And they stop smoking then.
Yeah.
They've been handed this goal. Some people will just carry on with those habits, which logically thinking is bizarre, but it does also show the power of emotional eating and these things. Yeah, exactly. It shows the power of that. Now, but without any goals, you're going to be constantly looping back and you're going to be wandering around and not really getting anywhere. So, and there are different types of goals. We can go into on another video. But yeah, so creating goals is really important. And really think about these goals. Like I said, it's a whole different video when we talk about goals, because there's different types of goals there's input goals, output goals, and outcome goals. And a lot of people kind of think about outcome goals. So for an example, in weight loss, they might go, I want to lose the most weight in my slimming group this week, right? And you might think, oh, that's a good goal. But actually, there's aspects of that you can't control. Like you can't control who's turning up. You can't control how much effort they put in. You can't control any aspect of anything else. So although it sounds like a decent goal, it's a goal that it can be frustrating. It can get in your way.
So you're sort of saying your goals need to be, well, something that you can control yourself.
Yeah, like I said, there's a whole different video. Yeah. Perhaps, we'll do, if there's enough requests for it, we can do another video on goals. So you look at the other types of goals, so input goals and output goals. So input goal is like, you might say, well, I'm going to do 10,000 steps a day, right? So that's the effort you can put in. Or I'm going to save £20 a week. Okay, so that's an input goal. They're quite strong.
Yeah.
Slightly stronger, sometimes slightly harder to do, and it usually boils down to the time frame you give it, is an outcome goal. So an outcome goal might be, well, I want to lose £2 a week, right? So your input goal is 10,000 steps. Output goal is, I want to lose £2. Your outcome goal is, I want to be the biggest slimmer in the group. Okay, you can see all three similar kind of thing, but one could be quite hard to do, quite frustrating when you get it wrong and you're not in control of it. The other one, the time frame can be an issue. And the first one is like dead easy to do. Like you just do it. And that's a great place for anybody that's struggling, that's caught in a rut, is to start. Because just like, remember when you're riding a bike as a kid and you got caught in a rut, right? And you can't get out of the rut. You're like, you can't get out of it. Well, the way you get out of it is you slow down. And when you slow down, you lift your front wheel out of the rut and then you set off. You know what I mean? To fight against it, you're just going to crash. So, you need, I suggest these smaller goals to get going, just to start building a little bit of confidence in what you're doing, proving to yourself that you can change, that you can be motivated and you can be consistent with something. Because quite often we think, we can flick a switch and we're just going to live like a guru for the rest of our lives, and it's too much too soon. You've got this big history of failing, in your opinion, although you've been very successful in eating crap food for a long time or avoiding the gym for a long time. Good work. You know what I mean? Avoiding strenuous activity for a long time. That takes a bit of effort. Yep. So you've been very successful in the wrong thing. All right, and you've built up this idea that you've failed. When people often say, like, bad habits. Well, actually, a bad habit is a really, really good habit, because you never forget to eat all the biscuits in the packet. You know what I mean? Yeah. You never forget to order your Chinese on a Friday night or whatever it is. So it's a great habit. It's just the wrong thing.
Just need to reset.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, reframe what you're doing.
The next one, T.
Yeah, so T links into what I was just saying actually, and that's take the first step, right? And it just needs to be a baby step to get you going. Like I said, some people go, right, okay, enough's enough. I'm going to do triple CrossFit every day. I'm going to eat a carnivore, meat-only diet. And they start too much. Now, that can work for some people. But the average person, it's too much, especially when you add other factors of life, kids, work, moving house, paying your bill, you know what I mean? You've got to do all these other things. That can be too much. So it's much better to start with something really basic, really simple. For example, if you develop a goal that you want to be able to run a 5K, just start by getting your training gear on.
Yeah.
Something so basic that it's so easy, and just concentrate on that, because at some point you're going, well, I've got my training gear on. I may as well go for a little walk or a little jog. Don't worry about the 5K. That will take care of itself as long as you're consistent, keep going.
Yeah.
Because that's how the body works. It's an amazing adapter. It will adapt to different stresses, which is what training and fitness is, very, very quickly if you're consistent with it. Just get used to that. I've even had people in the past where I've said, look, if it's too much to put your training gear on, just get out the night before and just put it next to your bed.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And just get used to doing that. I've done that 5 times. And then they were like, check in with them. What's going on? Well, yeah, no, I did a run. Oh, how did that come about? Well, I kept getting my stuff out every night. And one morning I thought, well, I've got the stuff out. I might as well put it on and head out. So I've been doing that for a couple of days. And then you can adjust your goals, and before you know it, you'll be running. And the idea is that it's just so damn easy. We just build on that, and we build on that. And we create this history, like I said, of success. I can do it.
Yeah.
All right, it's not what the end goal is right now, but it will be. And that's how you accomplish anything. That's how, when you think about like running 270k across the Sahara, it's all a series of small steps. When you look at it, you go, wow, that's an incredible challenge. And where do we even start with that? Well, you start with the first step, like right back in training. And it's simple as that. Put enough steps together and you can accomplish whatever you want.
Right, Craig, I'm going to bring it back to motivation. What is it that people don't realise about motivation?
Well, I think the first thing is that we've got an abundance of it. We're just doing the wrong things. The second thing is that there's actually, when you terms of like when you talk of like people are motivated in different ways. So for example, you could do this test yourself. Like, so there's away from motivated and there's towards motivated. So some people are incredibly motivated to get away from stuff, right? So for example, I no longer want to be fat, right? So they're away motivated. Okay, so, or I don't want to be the slowest in my running club. I don't want to be this, you know what I mean? They're away, it's away. And so people, in order to like agitate the pain, they can put a fat picture on the fridge or they have a fat picture on their phone. That is a little bit of a flawed tactic sometimes because you get used to those images, you know what I mean? And they don't stimulate you into doing stuff as much over time. That's the away from, but there's also towards motivated. So I want to be the fastest at my running group, or I want to run across the Sahara, or I want to lose a stone, you know what I mean? And in which case you need sort of symbols or things that kind of remind you of where you're going. So if you think about it now, like what do you think you would be?
I'm not very motivated at the minute.
Well, you are. We've talked about you are. We just to do the wrong things.
Yeah.
Like you said you're going to be at the studio at 8:00. You was here at like 7:15.
Yeah, true.
How motivated do you want to be? Like?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You've hit the nail on the head. I don't know how to answer that.
Has there been a time in your life when you have been really motivated?
Oh yeah, loads.
So tell me about that.
I always put motivation down of my sports. So I'm getting. I'll give you an example. Last year, I knew I was coming to the end of retirement playing rugby. My knees are knackered. I wanted to go out swinging, so I wanted to win the league. So
you're aware. You're towards.
Yeah.
Okay, you're towards motivated because you wanted to win the league.
Yeah.
If you don't want to finish bottom of the table, that's away from. Do you know what I mean? Or you was the most penalised player last year. I don't want to have that name anymore. That might ring a bell with you. That's away from. roughly speaking.
Yeah.
So once you identify what you are, and some people are a mix, you can then use those things to help motivate you. But the other thing as well is, like, the further we are away from a goal, so whether you're away or towards, the further we are away, the less motivated we are. It's like a curve, so...
Yeah.
So if I'm away motivated, the further I get away from, so let's say I start off at like 120 kilos and I'm starting to lose weight. When I get to like 110, I'm not quite as motivated as I was when I was 120.
Yeah.
And your motivation starts to get weaker and weaker, and before you know it, you're comfortable again and you're back up at 120 kgs. Similarly, if you're going towards, okay, I want to be 80 kilos as an example, the further you are from it, the least motivated you are, And this is one of the problems I had when right at the start, when I said, actually, I've struggled with motivation. I thought by putting big challenges in my life, like running across the Sahara, self-supported, self-sufficient, one of the toughest foot races in the world, and I'm not really built for running, really. I believe every human's built for running, but I'm out of condition regards to to running.
Yeah.
Genetically, I could have been better. I thought sticking that will mean I'll have to run, right? And I didn't. What tends to happen was I'd be like a few months out, and then I'd start kicking in because the stimulus of that event,
so it was getting closer.
It's too far away. So what you need then is you need like little milestones along the way, which just keep you motivated. And actually, what research has shown is that the most motivating thing is to have your goal, right, but regularly think about the negative side of not hitting that goal.
And that's how you create your consistency.
Yeah, because this might be a 6 month, 12-month gap between where you are right now and where you want to get to and what you want to be. But by having these little milestones along the way to remind you of not achieving that is the most motivating way to do it and to be consistent. The other one thing with consistency is like environment will always trump willpower. Okay, so what I mean by that is like if we try and do things purely on willpower, then we're going to struggle with that. So for example, I'll give you two examples. One example is we're going to avoid eating crisps, right? And then another example, so we're going to drink 3 litres of water a day. Two different, slightly different goals. Well, the way that we structure the environment is really important. Will beat willpower. If we don't have access to the crisps, then we can't eat the crisps. Does that make?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, truth is, some people are driven that much by food and crap food that they will get in the car and go and get it. They will move mountains to get it. Okay, but if the environment is set up where you can't get it, or you have an accountability partner, or someone that will just remind you, look, remember what you're trying to do here, and all this kind of thing, then that will beat willpower, right? In regards to the water, if you just have like a big cooler on the side of your desk and it's just so easy to get the water, all right, instead of like the water's 3 floors down, you know what I mean? You've got to get your cup, you've got to get up, you've got to break away from whatever you're doing, walk down, get your water. Chances of you doing that are much less likely, which is why now you see lots of people walking around with massive drums of water because they've just got it, they're right, finish one of them today, I've hit my water goal, so environment will always trump willpower. Similarly, if you're thinking, right, okay, I want to join the gym, go to the gym more, well, if the gym's other side of town, like mine right now, so we're in this studio and my gym though, where I was before, it's 20 minutes in the opposite direction. So I'm already looking, right, okay, I need to get a gym here because it just doesn't align.
Yeah.
And I can kid myself that I'm going to go to the gym every day, but if it's 20 minutes home and then another 20 minutes in the other direction, 40-minute commute to get to the gym, I'm not going to go. It's certainly much harder. You need to remove as much friction as you can.
Craig, give me 3 things then that people can do right now to help stay motivated, to be motivated and to achieve some consistency.
First thing I'd say is, work through the ACT framework. We'll have a little worksheet below this video. You can download that ACT worksheet and just kind of work through that. Hand in hand with that, just remember that environment will always trump willpower. Now, 2 things I'll say there. One is, this is where Team Bootcamp came about because we wanted to create an environment where you had to achieve what you're looking to achieve. And so many people come to Team Bootcamp to kickstart something new. It's very different from like a fitness camp abroad where you're just basically going on like an active holiday because you've still got your old eating habits and nothing really changes. We impose these restrictions on you just long enough for you to then, be able to go, right, okay, I'm building up this history of success and I can crack on from that. Now, if you can't make it to boot camp for whatever reason, and some people can't, and that's fine, then there are loads of different groups online which you can get into and start as a challenge, whether it's a 30-day challenge, a 10-day challenge. There's even a 75 hard, a 75-day challenge, or even a 100-day burpee challenge. Where there's loads of different challenges. Team Bootcamp, we're about to start a couple of different challenges. So, get yourself in there, submerge yourself in an environment of people that want to do similar things, because they're not going to drag you down. They're going to help you. They're going to support you, not enable you to do crap things. So find yourself a little group there. And I think the other most important thing is you find someone that's going to hold you accountable. And I think that's something that you and I do quite well in regards to work. We'll come up with an idea of what we want to do. Sometimes I want to sit on the settee and watch rugby, and you're like, no, come on, we're going to get this done. And it holds you accountable, and you start, and then you start working towards your goals. So they're the three things. I'd do the ACT framework. I would look at a group or challenge or something for you to kick on, and that's going to help and support you. And the third thing is get yourself some kind of accountability. It is the most powerful force in regards to motivation and consistency.
And Craig, Team Bootcamp are now celebrating 12 years since its inception. Tell us about what's coming forward.
Like I said, we're going to launch a couple of challenges because, we did a survey in the prep for our 12-year anniversary celebration thing, and consistency and motivation was the number one things that people were struggling with. So we want to help people for free, in order to tackle that. So this is where the challenges are coming from. We're also going to knock a load of money off a load of different retreats, right? Okay, which is crackers. The accountant's going nuts. Like, what you're crazy. But we just think it's a massive milestone. There were so many doubters when Paula and I decided we were going to set up our own camp, and so many people kind of laughed at us. And on paper you'd look at my history and Paula's history and you'd be like, not a chance. But we made it work. We never gave up, and that's exactly what this video is about, and that's what Team Bootcamp stands for. And we just want to celebrate that a little bit. We're going to have a webinar where we're going to be reliving some of those memories, giving out a few different, Paul always goes crazy on these webinars and gives away a lot of free stuff, which people love. And then also launch this anniversary offer where it is just crazy amounts of money. The best bootcamp retreats in the UK.
So you can join Craig, Paula and the team on Monday at 8 o'clock for the Team Bootcamp webinar, and we hope to see you there. If you're watching this in the future, you can always get more information on Team Bootcamp if you head to team-bootcamp.com. Loads of information about how you can get involved with Team Bootcamp and the retreats that they run. And if you want more videos like this, stick your